and welcome to this week's episode of I Eat Vibes for Breakfast. So, we have a wonderful guest today, my friend and producer, Leland Grant. But before we get into all of that and the interview and everything, I just wanted to sit down and have my tea with you guys today. So, my literal tea of the day today is an Earl Grey tea. No flavor notes today. The tea bag did not have any, but I'll tell you about it. It's like a classic Earl Grey. I really, really like it. It's got that slight, citrus scent over the black tea, so it lightens it up a little bit. I personally cannot do an English breakfast tea because of my acid reflux, so Earl Greys are perfect for me, honestly. So our figurative tea for today, there's a lot. There's been some piping hot tea, okay? I want to start off with some positive stuff. Meg the Stallion was at the CMTs and she was pictured with Shania Twain. And honestly, I'm just making a prediction and maybe a hope that we get a Shania Meg the Stallion collab. I think that'd be great. Either way, they both looked stunning and amazing. Speaking of looking types of ways, I don't know if you guys have seen Melanie Martinez recently, but she is wearing quite the costume, quite the get-up, quite the attire recently. It definitely is getting attention. I think it was really interesting and cool in very quirky ways in the videos. I wonder how she's doing while she performs in that live. Like, is there a fan in there? Is there an AC unit in that costume? Who knows? I hope that there is, though. I feel like it's going to get her mainstream attention, but I don't think she's going for a mainstream appeal. I feel like she has such a loyal base of followers, and she's definitely catering to the people that love her already, because when I'm on Twitter, I see that those people are diehard for it. They say the concept has been cultivated for a while, so they know something. I don't know. That's all I know. My last tea for today is about Warped Tour's April Fool's joke, which honestly got me. Okay, my first tip-off was that A Day to Remember was listed twice, but they posted a lineup, and it had all of the OGs. It had My Chemical Romance, Paramore, Mayday Parade, A Day to Remember, The Main, I'm pretty sure Sum 41, literally any artist that you could think of. It was insane. There's even new ones like Young Blood and MGK, and it was fake, so they got me. I didn't do any April Fool's pranks this year, so let me know if you guys did, because I never have any ideas. I don't know, it's not my forte. But speaking of fortes, production is Leland Grant's forte, and we are going to interview him now. Leland Grant, welcome to I Eat Vibes for Breakfast.
Thank you.
We're eating smoothies for breakfast, though.
I had a smoothie. I'm now having coffee.
Okay. I'm behind. I mean, I'm almost done with my smoothie, though.
That's good.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the sign outside. I'll have to put it in the video, guys. It is a labor of love. So you are a writer and producer in Nashville. You've had over 50 independent and major label cuts, including my newest single, Still Tomorrow, which is not out yet.
Make that 51, I guess.
51. Yes, you're right. We're at 51 now. You used to live in LA doing an acting job that I'll be asking you about later because I've never heard about this. So tell me a little bit about how you got into music. What got you started?
Well, I didn't really grow up around music. I grew up in a house with a piano, and my dad played classical guitar as a hobby.
Okay.
But I had friends who were, I don't know, musical, I guess. I mean, that's really kind of I've never thought about that question. I don't know why. I should have. But we had a piano in the house, so I would go down and play it, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I was able to like sing a song or listen to a song. So my mom always played music, but I didn't know how to read music. So, but I heard a song and I could go sit and I could figure out the notes of the song, or I could sing the notes and play the chords or part of the chords, not the whole chord. And so I just started doing that. And then when I was, I don't know, at some point, my mom was like, do you want to take lessons on piano? She's like, well, you're playing, you should really take a lesson, which I despised. But I stuck with it, learned piano, and here we are.
Well, I love that. Sounds like you were a natural. Picked it up.
Maybe. I had an ear. I could hear.
Okay.
So
I feel like
yeah.
that's something I'm still developing. So I'm honestly envious that you kind of had that naturally.
What do you mean you're developing?
I don't know. I feel like I kind of had to work on my ear. Like I took lessons and I
Like
learned how to
pitch
read
or
music, or just like ear training, like
Mhm.
hearing something, figuring out the chords. Like now I've got it going on. But when I first started, because I started playing guitar when I was like 10, I would say I started with lessons. So maybe it's just because like I went just like straight into reading music, maybe
Yeah.
that I didn't rely on the ear. But that's something in the last like 2 years I've really been working on. There's actually an app I use. It's a Tinito or something, and there's little games, and it's like you try to identify the pitch or the chord just like off your ear. So
Yeah.
that's something I've been working on. So I'm envious.
Yeah, I don't I think well, I mean, there's things that you've had to work on and there's things that I've had to work on. So there's things that didn't come naturally to me that I've had to learn.
Well, that makes me
So
feel
I
better.
mean, everybody they say God doesn't give with both hands.
Hey.
So there's things that everybody's got to work at.
I gotta be honest, I was not a natural singer. I just wanted to, and I really knew that I would.
Yeah.
I was like 7 years old singing Daniel Peck. It was not giving what needed to be gave. I was singing, I forget what her song is, but I had a cowboy hat on, a little electric V guitar,
Okay.
and flip flops. I was in Southern California singing
Wow.
Daniel Peck and the 12-bar blues.
That's great.
It was not my biggest like fashion moment,
Okay.
but I was going with pride.
Okay. And you had a flying V guitar?
I did.
Do you still have that guitar?
I do still have that guitar. I can't
What-
get rid of it.
Oh man, is it a Jackson? What is it?
It's like literally
Gibson?
a child's guitar.
Oh, it's a
I
kid's
mean, I was like
flying V.
11, so it's like this
Okay.
big. It's
I thought you had like a
it wasn't that cool.
legit flying like
I
Eddie
mean,
Van Halen.
it was legit, but
Okay.
in the shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It would probably sell for $5.
Okay. Don't
Yeah.
then keep it.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Okay, so you appeared on NBC, The Voice, and The Tonight Show. Can you tell me? I've never been on a TV show like that, so I'm interested.
Gosh. Well, I've been on a few shows. I mean, I was in LA and I was acting a lot, but then when I moved here, I still ended up doing some TV stuff. So, I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to know, but The Voice was The Voice. I was in a duo at the time,
Oh, okay.
and we auditioned season 2, and it was an experience. We were on Team Christina.
Oh,
Yeah,
you met Christina Aguilera?
met Christina Aguilera.
Ugh,
Had dinner at her house.
stop.
And actually, I think like after this was a long time ago when we did the show. I mean, season 2. What are they on now?
Yeah.
Season like 90, but
Something.
I think they shoot like 2 or 3 seasons. They shoot at least 2. I think it's 3 seasons a year
Wow.
that they shoot.
That's so much.
Minimum 2. But anyway, we got to know her, and it's really, I think it's funny. Like her diva persona is. I probably shouldn't say this, but you can cut it out if you get in trouble. But like, it's totally a persona. Like,
Really?
dude, she is just down to earth. Like,
Love to hear
her
that.
team, like, I don't know, 8 of us or whatever. We went over to the house for dinner, and like, she was like, Leland, can I get you another glass of wine? And like,
Stop.
yeah. And
I love to hear that.
but then on camera,
Yeah.
she acts like she
Yeah,
acts.
who you- yeah,
Yeah.
respect.
And man, I'd love if we're not in touch, but I'd love if I could ask her that one day. Be like, so what, why do you put on this thing? I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just funny because people
Yeah.
are always like, is she a jerk? In real, or they
I've
use
heard
other
that
words.
as well, yeah.
She's not at all.
That's amazing.
Super
I love to
sweet,
hear that.
Super just attentive and like,
Yeah.
came up and like refilled my wine glass
Wow.
when she noticed that I
You just wouldn't
needed-
expect that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
she's great.
I am a huge fan of hers. I could watch burlesque any day of the week.
Yeah,
like,
she's
literally
amazing.
every
Really
day of the
talented.
week. Well, that's so good to hear.
And then we did Jay Leno with it was really, it's kind of serendipitous how it happened because so we got kicked off the show in the battle part of the show, and Christina Aguilera was a guest on Jay Leno like a couple months later, right? So we flew from LA back here. We were kicked off the show. We were doing whatever here after being on The Voice, and I don't even know if it had gone. It might have been gone. It might have gone to air. I can't remember. But the rest of the team was on Jay Leno with her.
Okay.
But naturally, they couldn't feature any of those people. And a few people had gotten kicked off the team. but the show called and asked us if we wanted to play on Leno. Like, it was so wild. So we got to perform on Jay Leno and meet Jay and all this. We weren't part of the interview part, but her team was, but they were just sitting there.
That's so cool.
She was the interview, but we got to play. I think it was because we were kicked off already, so they wouldn't like favorite a team that was on Christina. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I see.
Which was like so cool. And had we still been on the show, so everything happens for a reason, right? Like, it's like
Very
if we'd
true.
still been on her team and not kicked off, we wouldn't have gotten to perform. We would have just sat there.
I love it. Silver
Yeah, it was
lining.
really cool.
I truly believe everything happens for a reason.
100%.
Though, honestly.
100%.
I wonder, with Christina Aguilera's like persona. I know Beyonce does something similar. I wonder if that's like almost like a protection mechanism of like creating a character that you kind of like portray and then having kind of a shield to your true self. I don't know. Maybe I'm making it too deep.
No, I don't think you're making it too deep. I think, from what I talked to several people about it, like at length after the experience, because it wasn't just this small innocuous thing where I was like, no, she's really cool. But I've met and worked with many. I worked on Hannah Montana and Miley, same way.
Oh, interesting.
So cool, so down to earth. And when people go, "Oh, Miley's crazy," I worked with one of the actors that played her best friend on the show.
Oh, okay.
His name is Mitchell Musso. So he played
Okay.
Oliver on the show, and I was his music director, produced stuff, toured with.
That's cool.
Yeah, so and we were always on set because while he was shooting the show, we'd be working. So we'd be in the green room working. He'd come off set. He'd do a vocal take. We'd be writing a song,
Okay, that's cool.
planning a stage show. So anyway, the point is I was around them a lot. And so I stick up for Miley when someone brings her name up because they always go, "Oh, she's just crazy." And she's not.
I don't think she is at all.
You can't be the kid of Billy Ray. And like, because Billy and Trish were always on set too. Like, it's very family. So I think if you're around your family that much, you're pretty normal, like, in my opinion. Unless you're like,
I see that.
I mean, I don't know. I think that is a deeper conversation. But like, the point I'm trying to make is, I think a lot of people, and there's some other people who I won't mention, but people see that, and it's so weird. It's screwed up that we live in a culture where people think that what they see online is reality.
I definitely agree with that. It's like everything is almost false advertising nowadays.
It's not almost false advertising.
It definitely is false advertising.
And now with God, we could go down the rabbit hole, but I don't know how.
There's a lot of rabbit holes.
How long's your podcast? Like 3 days?
Yes.
But if you go into like what's about to happen with AI and but even before that, like people just capping on Instagram or TikTok, and it's been fake from the get, but it's been in other culture, like it's been huge in urban culture, rap, R&B, music, that music. That's what I'm into, is music. So, but then now it's crossing over to other genres and other people getting exposed to it that haven't seen a bunch of rap videos.
Yeah.
And it's wild. It's really wild, the fake. Which is why I love Kendrick Lamar's song, Take It Off.
Okay, I don't know if I've heard it. Was it on his last album?
So good. The song basically goes, he's naming all these, he's like, take off, I don't know word for word, but he's like, take off the Gucci, take off the Prada, take off the Dada. He's better than I am. But at the end, he's like, what do you got left?
Yeah. That's funny. That's actually
basically take off the bullshit.
Yeah.
What's left?
That's what my last song was about, actually. Fake, that I released
I
recently.
love that one.
And actually in the bridge.
Fake friends, right?
Yeah, I say like you're like fake Louis Gucci and all that because it doesn't last. And so I definitely agree with Kendrick Lamar. There's a lot of fake and lots of fake narratives just to get people like wrapped up. Like I feel like music, especially like TikTok, is a tool and it's great and it's done some good things, but it's also made music very gimmicky almost. Like you have to have this gimmick, 100%. Like showing my best friend like this new song. I don't know. It's just
man, I'm tired. Can we just stop reaction videos?
Oh my gosh.
Like I just want to watch somebody doing an interview. I don't need to see the other person on the split screen.
The person who's definitely
Just doing
already
this.
heard the song. Like showing my boyfriend the song that's already out about him, that even though he's my boyfriend and I probably in real life show him everything. Like I show my fiance, like I get home from the studio, I'm like, listen to this demo. I mean, it's not even like great, but he hears it all. So yeah, I just don't record it, I guess. So I need to get on that.
I think I hope, and I do see the light at the end of the tunnel with artists, hey, like you, who are putting out songs that you believe in the song versus saying, oh man, this will be great for TikTok. And also, and I don't know, you might have done this in your social media, so forgive me, but I do wish that artists would. It's hard, man, because you want your fans to be a part of things, but I wish we'd stop asking, hey guys, tell me what you think. And I know from a social media perspective, it's a comment, and it's called a call to action.
Right.
I get that. Like, and we can talk about shoes or whatever, but if I post like, tag your friend who you'd want to buy these or to hear this song, I understand some of it, but my gosh, I guess for me, when it gets like, oh gosh, I'm gonna get so canceled for this, but like when it gets cringy, it's like when people, it comes across as like people going, oh my gosh, I hope you guys like it.
Yeah.
Like, I hope you like it. Like, forget that. Write a song that you like.
Yeah.
And people will like it because you're being yourself and being unique.
Very true, yeah. And it's almost like when you're like fishing for compliments, like, oh, like I hope you like it. Anytime I've written that down, I almost feel like it's like almost an insecure way of coming about it. I've definitely been trying to move away from that because I've done that in the past and it's always felt just like a comment grab. And I think people can see that too. Like, you just wanted me to comment like, oh, love it, or should I release this? It's like, oh, I'm releasing this. This is when it's coming out.
Yeah, and but it's hard because
it is.
You do have to do anything you can to break through this noise.
So
where there's how many songs
noise.
released a day on Spotify?
At least 60,000 or something.
The last I heard was north of that. I think it was like 80, which is absolute insanity.
The fact that so many people make music, and I think it's a beautiful thing that it's so accessible, but
Sure.
it's also not. There's just so much.
Agreed.
It's a lot, and it also leads a lot of people down a rabbit hole. There's a lot of peaks and valleys that I think aren't always taken into consideration with like how accessible music is. That it's not always like the most. It's a very hard career. Got to really like go at it. Super hard. Even if you get viral, it's still
agreed. And I look at artists who are viral, or I had a friend send me something that was really good. Okay, it was an artist. She was really good. But my knee-jerk reaction when something's viral and that's the only thing they have out is, cool, let's track this. Let's see where it goes. Because I want to see this person in 20 years still doing that.
Yeah.
Not as a negative, but as a thing where I like what American Idol and what The Voice or AGT does for people. But the negative of that is that those shows, and we've already talked about The Voice, but those shows don't promote a work ethic.
I agree.
And they promote, oh, you do this one thing, but unfortunately, you cannot make a career
off of belting a note. That's actually like probably an unpopular opinion, quote unquote, of mine is like I've never done a voice show or something like that because I see myself more as an artist, a songwriter, rather than like a belter or vocalist. And it's always kind of felt almost like I never felt that as my calling. I think that could be other people's calling, but personally I don't feel like that's what God leads me to do because I just don't see that as my strong suit. I just see myself more as an artist and I'm more after that longevity. And obviously you can get that from those shows, Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, countless other people, definitely.
Yeah, but, well, okay.
Yeah. I'm being positive.
Okay, no.
But yeah,
okay, so Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, who else?
Adam Lambert.
Okay, who else?
I'm working really hard.
Right.
I think I also don't watch the show.
There are others.
Yeah, there are definitely
Chris
others.
Daughtry.
Yes.
There are others.
There are others. And I feel
Cassidy
like
Pope, but she already had her thing going on.
Right.
My point is that we just named 5 people.
Yeah.
How many people
3 seasons a year you said that we filmed.
Yeah,
so that's
minimum 2. And how many
lot.
people have competed on that?
So many.
So again, and I think also it can be a big negative where someone goes on the show and if they haven't been grinding, they can lose or get kicked off, and they let that be the thing.
True.
And
They're
they
not
let
used
that
to that
be
rejection.
Yeah.
Because it's daily rejection.
It's daily rejection.
I've been getting rejected for 10 years.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm like, just keep it going.
That is so true. And like, gosh, I mean, how many times I stopped telling my family stuff?
Oh, me too. Things are happening. What I told you earlier, I haven't told really anybody because I'm like, this could just fall apart.
Oh, that thing.
That thing. Yeah. And I'm like, that could fall apart.
When you told me your song's coming out and you're like, my song's gonna be released, and I'm like, okay.
I know.
Cool.
It's like, cool.
I'll wait.
Yeah. It's literally uploaded to the distributor, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to push it. But no,
you heard it here.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall.
I'm the problem.
Hi.
I'm trying. I have the cover art, but no, like that could fall apart in 2 days. That could fall apart tomorrow. Like at this point, I almost like, unless it's happening, I almost don't even let myself like. It's good to celebrate things, but I don't know. You have to keep it so close to the chest.
I think you have to keep it close to the chest, and you have to celebrate with people who understand the business you're in, but compare it to other businesses. I mean, it's like if you worked in the stock market, you'd be like, "Oh man, we're closing this big deal. It's going to be this big stock."
Yeah. Stop.
And you tell people.
Money.
I had a song that never got cut, but we were told it was getting cut.
Ugh.
It was. We celebrated because we were friends with the A&R.
Because it was on hold.
Oh, more than on hold.
Oh, okay. It was like
getting cut.
Okay.
And then they came home from the studio and they were like, the song didn't get cut because it was this whole thing. It was with Josh Groban of all people. And it was oh man, it was because they decided at the end of the day they had too many Italian songs. Okay. So our song was an English song, and we had it translated to Italian for him. Okay. And it had made the record, and then the cutting day, they were like, "Oh, we have 5 Italian, 5 American, or whatever it was." Yeah. Because he did traditional Italian opera essentially. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, we had 6. Yours was the 7th." Damn. I think because it was a translated thing or something. So anyway, the point is, but we were celebrating with champagne. I remember I was waiting tables, and I went into my job, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Josh Groban." Cutting my song.
Yeah, you're like, I'm done.
Right. But at any job, you have those things happen. Yeah. Whether you're a banker, if you're a chef. I mean, think about that. You're like, we're getting a Michelin star. And they come and you leave the wrong fork, and you don't get your Michelin star. Oof, but it's rejection, right? But if you've been a chef for 30 years, you're like, oh man, whatever. We'll get it next year. Yeah. So back to those shows. Gosh, this is becoming too long. Sorry. But
no, it's not.
I just think people aren't used to that. Yeah. And you take someone who's never gigged for their meal.
That's my biggest thing with especially TikTok is these artists, it's their first song out. It's got now 6 million streams, which is awesome for them. Yes. They don't have any other songs. They've never been on tour before. Yeah. And it's like then they get put on a tour where their audiences are like thousands of people. Yeah. They're playing for like 6 months straight, and they've never even like done a weekend gig or something.
Nope,
and
never
it's
done
like,
a bar
how are they
gig.
going to handle that mentally? How are they going to handle like even sound check? I don't know. I just worry because if you're not, it's like success is when like preparation meets opportunity, and I think I just don't know.
Also,
I
luck.
Worry about preparation.
Preparation meeting opportunity.
And luck, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's one thing I've always been focused on is like maybe I'm not where I want to be right now, but I'm getting prepared.
But we're gonna see that, and we have been seeing that. Like people go see like Florence and the Machine. They're like, and I've never seen live, but
neither.
I've seen videos, watched them on YouTube. Her and the band. But it's like you gotta see this show. Yeah. Why? Because it's a great show versus an artist. And I'm not here to be negative, but there's artists out there that, like you said, they have a hit, viral thing, and they're like, "Oh, world tour." You go, "Yeah, but you don't know how to perform." Yeah. That's why Ed Sheeran can do what he did, because he played on the streets.
Yo, he's incredible. Have you seen him live? Yeah. Incredible. I used to follow him on tour.
Honestly. I saw him on the road he did, this was when he did the arena tour. Yeah. And it was just him with the looper.
Oh, yeah. I was on that tour as well. I went to 2 dates on the tour.
Oh, you did?
I went to so many Ed Sheeran
I went
shows.
to Bridgestone.
I went to Bridgestone, and I went to Louisville, Kentucky one. Okay. I went to one in California, I think, as well. Not that same tour, but I was obsessed with Ed Sheeran for a little bit.
Should be.
He's amazing.
So but I also think you have day players. You have people who will come in, They'll do something and they'll step out. And that's
Yeah.
fine too, because I think what we don't do on social media a good job of, or I should just say we outwardly do a poor job of, but it's because nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to watch the grind. But I do think I will say about music being accessible and like the fact that anybody can download Logic. We're recording in Logic right
Literally.
now. Anybody can download a beat. Anybody can buy an SM7 microphone. But then I love when I have artists that'll say, well, what do I need for a mobile rig? And I go, I mean, you got it right here. We did Apollo and a thing. So I go, yeah, get this stuff. And then they go, oh, I'm going to do my own vocals now. I'm like, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the calls come in and it's no problem. I will help anybody. And I would much rather lead the horse to water. But I think I do see people who go, oh man, this is really hard. And I go, yeah, exactly. Like, I hope that changes your perspective now on what it is to make a record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I definitely do, yeah.
And I have, I'm thinking of a person now, an artist who like, they wanted to mix their own songs. I said, great. Here's the session. Mix your track. And they keep calling and going, hey, how do I get the vocal and how do I do this? And I will help to a certain extent, but there's also a point when I go, hey, look, like all due respect, you can either hire me to consult you, which I don't really do.
Yeah.
Or asking for advice is one thing, but like, you know, that's why you hire people to mix your track.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like leaning on other people's talents and callings, because music is a collaboration at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I think like it's a great skill to be, you know, like a jack of all trades. But like for me, I can record my vocals for like a demo, and that's kind of because I haven't worked on engineering my vocals or mixing them, especially. It's mainly the thing. And so like I know I can make like a demo, but when it comes to like a mastered recording, I'm kind of, you know, focusing on like podcasting, social media, like guitar, singing, songwriting, all that. And so I instead choose to like lean on someone else for like actual vocals, mastering, mixing, and maybe one day I'll like be better at that, but I'd rather like, for me, my motto is always like all things for the song, like the best of the song.
Sure.
And so if it's the best of the song that someone else do it, then that is it. But I know kind of where I'm at with my skills right now.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's you can go online, you can download a beat. You can go on YouTube, you can get a free beat, which is a whole nother litany of gray area that we're seeing. But I think it's just, I love that it's becoming more accessible, but it's like painting. You know what I mean? Like just because you can buy a canvas and a paintbrush doesn't mean you're Van Gogh.
True.
Now it doesn't mean you can't make a living at it though. And it doesn't mean what you have to paint isn't valuable. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I do know exactly what you're saying.
So that's why it's like, it's great that it's happening, but I also hope that we can have reverence for the Ed Sheerans of the world, the Florence and the Machines, the Adeles, the Gagas, whomever.
I feel like the biggest
hopefully the Juliana Hales, where it's like, man, but it's because when we wrote the song, we sat here and wrote the song. We didn't sit and go, oh man, what's going to work for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
We wrote a song. And I'm producing this artist. His name's Ari Madrata. And he does really funny videos on TikTok, and it's done well. And we're starting to see good streaming on him.
Awesome.
We wrote a bunch of songs. So I just went to Kenya 2 weeks ago to write. And so Ari goes to school in London. He lives in Kenya. That's where his family's from. They're Nairobi. And so we were there writing. When I was going for the trip, to prep for the trip, they were like, hey, we want to write a bunch of 30-second songs for TikTok. And I said, cool. I said, but why? And they were like, well, we tease, and I know the reason. It's because you tease the song, and then if it goes viral, then you write the whole song. Right. Then you finish the song. So I said, cool. I do understand that. And I also understand it from a time management perspective. It's like we don't have all day.
Right.
We got 10 days to write a bunch of songs. So let's just write a bunch of 30-second songs.
Right, okay.
So where I challenge that is, one, you're never going to have the depth of the song until you've gotten to that 3-minute mark.
Exactly, yeah.
Second, once you write that 3-minute mark, I was just on a call this morning as I was making the smoothies where we wrote a song. And now I'm looking back at the whole lyric, and the song is about going to hell. But the song never says why. And I called the co-writer. I was like, man, maybe we need a line of like, just a line of like why this is happening, because to me maybe the song doesn't make sense, but that will make that chorus stronger. And if you get that line in there, it just gives it that depth, which I think is lacking in a lot of things. Third thing, the story. And last thing is Lizzo's the song is About Damn Time. Okay, yes. But most people don't know that's the title. They think it's called In a Minute or something. Because the TikTok thing. In a minute, I'm gonna need a sentimental to pump me up, right? So the song's About Damn Time. But that part that went viral on TikTok was the second verse. So that's what I said to Ari. I was like, really bro, we can do these snippets, but that second verse would have never happened had they only wrote the chorus.
Exactly.
And arguably, the second verse, I think, is more catchy than the chorus.
No, I agree. And that's why it picked up. And I feel like you can try your best to predict what might happen, but at the end of the day, it's like comes down to the audience and what they like. And they picked up on the second verse. And I think it's almost like cheating the song to just treat it like it's like a little test strip that you're just putting
Agreed.
out there. I don't know. And just because I'm huge on the story, I think just like the one song we wrote together, you could probably tell I was kept being like, but does it make sense? Like, was it leading there? Like, because that's so important.
So what I loved about your show was that you didn't introduce the song by explaining the song. You were just like, oh, this is called Still Tomorrow. I wrote it with Leland sitting there, and then you played the song, because let the song do the talking. Maybe that's the easiest way to say it.
I agree, yeah.
Versus playing somebody something and go, yeah, it's like Tom Petty and this, but if it's not like Tom Petty, but you want it to be like Tom Petty, then make it like Tom Petty, then play it for people.
Yeah.
Let the song do the talking, as opposed to my pet peeve. I don't know if it's made the video, but it's if you see a writer at a writer's round and they go, have you ever, I don't know, this one's, it's like, if you ever been heartbroken, and like, it's the voice. That's perfect. My emo voice. Yeah. That's perfect. Oh, like, that's my San Diego surfer voice.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you ever felt sad. It's like, man, just if the song's right. Yeah. If the song's good, it's going to explain all that. Yeah. Just go, hey, this song is called Candlelight, and there you go. Yeah. So anyway, that's my pet peeve. Yeah.
That's an interesting pet peeve. I think that's actually something
pet peeve.
I'm bad with, actually. Like, I didn't do it at my show, but sometimes I'll go to show someone something and I'll be like, yeah, like imagine has strings in this car.
I mean, I get that if it's a demo.
It's like a one-on-one kind of like.
I get that if it's a demo, but I think it's.
I would never do that on stage. I would never be like, oh, imagine.
Well, but I also think in our heads, it's hard because what I'm not something I can't remember. Rick Rubin is one of my favorite producers ever, but he said something along the lines of like, the idea in your head can be different than the idea that you hear back.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have this melody in your head, it's Bruno Mars.
Oh yeah.
And you're in an arena and it's this massive thing, but in reality, it becomes a different thing.
Yes.
And it still can be cool, but I think sometimes when people explain something, they think like that the person they're explaining to is going to hear what's in their mind.
Yes.
And like you said, it's like we all have this backstory, you know what I mean? Whatever you said, insider knowledge,
yeah.
Exactly. And like, it's like, yeah, but unless you put that in the song, no one's going to have that.
Yeah. I feel like that's what I've been struggling with currently, is just trying to find like, I need to explain better what I want so I can get like the result that I'm looking for. Because I think I end up with that a lot. I'll hear something, like I'll have a song come back. I'm like, okay, it sounds really cool. It sounds really good, but it's just like not what I had maybe like in my head.
Well, and that's why it's important for artists like you to continue doing the production side.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm super encouraging, because I think when newer artists who, I just did this with Ari in Kenya. Actually, before I went to Kenya, I said, hey, man, give me some references. And then I said, go to Splice, which is a cool site.
Oh, I love Splice.
Splice.com. Very cool. Didn't get paid for that. And they,
not yet.
I said, go and find some guitar things you like.
Uh-huh.
And you did. But it's very interesting and very eye-opening for people who don't produce and don't do production, where they go and they say, "Oh man, I want like a really crispy, perfect hi-hat sound." Okay,
Yeah.
and you're like, now, not all the time, but there are times when I will say to someone I'm working with and say, "Cool, do me a favor, go find the hi-hat sound you want, and I'm going to use it." Now, this will be the reason I say I don't do this all the time. This is only after I might have done a track and said, "Hey, here's the track."
Yeah.
And they go, I hate the hi-hat."
Yeah.
Okay, here's a new hi-hat. Here's a new hi-hat. When maybe all along, I don't think there should be a hi-hat in the track.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, it definitely does.
And so then, I don't want to insider information, but so then the artists go, no. Well, so I'll say to the artist, "Cool, go find the hi-hat you want."
Yeah.
Then they come back with like a synth
and you're like,
that's
okay.
carrying the hi-hat beat. Then maybe that's what I'm thinking the whole time. I might already have it in there, it's just muted. But again, it's important that they come back and they go, "Man, it's really hard to find the hi-hat I want." I go, "Right. To get the idea out of your head is really freaking hard."
Because maybe what you're explaining, like, oh, it sounds bright or something, is different than like what you might.
It always
bright
is different.
Sounds like. Yeah.
It always is different. But I think it's cool when you find a good artist producer relationship.
That's important, yeah.
When they if you're the artist and I'm the producer, or flip it, right? If I'm the artist, I go, "Man, can you make it sound rainy?" Right? But that's what people say. They go like, "Man, or they just go, "Oh, it sounds too it's too like it's thumping me. It's thumping me."
Yeah, I've always admired producers because I know you guys get thrown like the wildest words. Like, make it sound scratchy or like
Right.
just something
Make it
crazy.
crumpier.
Yeah.
Crumpy.
It's not even a word.
Well, it is. It's that dance.
Oh.
Remember the crump?
True. So how do you make it crumpier?
How do you make it crumpier?
Exactly. Yeah.
And somebody the other day, I was doing a mix here with somebody the other day, and they were like, I can't remember what they said, but they were like, "It's too meaty." Now, again, meaty would probably mean bass or whatever, but it was
Yeah.
just funny. I was like,
Yeah.
I literally, they were standing behind me listening, I turned around, I was like, "Meaty how?" Like, because it's like, what do you mean meaty? And this is a person who they've done a bunch of work, so it's like they know what to say.
Yeah.
Which is
We'll
like
get it there.
make the vocal, pull some low end out of the vocal.
Yeah.
But
Give it some depth.
give it, and it's funny. It's just funny because, but that's something I've been doing lately.
We just don't use music words. We're like,
Right, and then that's fine. But I think it's funny when an artist says, "Oh man, it needs to be this synth like," and I'm like, "Cool, go find that synth that you're hearing, because it's gonna save me some time probably."
true.
Because I'll
And them some time.
and then some time.
Yeah.
And then I can go, "Cool," and then I could actually take that synth sound and go, "Okay, now I know what you mean. Let me do my version of it."
Yeah.
Because a lot of time I have had times where people go, "Oh man, I remember this record. They wanted the Bruce Springsteen Streets of Philadelphia synth, which is this super. If you've never heard the song, it's beautiful, but it is like 1980 pad. It's a synth brass pad, and it's got like a little bit of a string thing under it. It's beautiful. Streets of Philadelphia, and but they wanted that, but then they didn't want that because they didn't want the record to sound like 1980. So I had to update it. But it was cool that they could give a reference like that.
Yeah,
that I
that's
was
nice.
like, "Oh, yeah, I know what you mean."
Yeah.
So I found that kind of thing, and then I made it my own.
That's cool. Yeah, I made a playlist recently for the EP I'm working on, so that I can like communicate
Absolutely.
once I find the team. Once that team is built. So you have had countless cuts.
Countless.
Countless. I mean, I can only count with these 10 fingers. I'm blonde.
Count your toes.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're blonde.
I can do up to 20. No, I'm joking. I was actually really good at school, but
I believe that.
Anyway, you're booked and busy, Leland.
Yeah.
You're going off. You're going to Kenya. You're doing all the things. So, do you have any advice for songwriters and producers looking to get in the mix and looking to put their hat in the ring?
Yes. Trying to think of an answer that won't take an hour and ruin your camera SD card.
Oh my gosh. Gave up on us.
So my advice is get into the work that you're passionate about and let that lead.
Okay.
But then realize there's going to be stuff that you have to do that's hard and that you don't want to do.
Okay.
That's the stuff you probably need the most work at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't need the most work at, it would be fun.
Yeah.
But since it's not fun,
You need to work on
they
it.
say about Arnold Schwarzenegger, like he was this, he was Mr. Olympia, but they said he wouldn't really work. Like, I know he did work.
Other things, yeah.
But he would work, I mean, his chest, back,
Yeah.
all the stuff's there, right? But he worked leg day.
Yeah.
Because legs were the problem for him. I don't know what his problems
Well, can
were.
I actually be honest? I have an Arnold Schwarzenegger story.
Really?
I insulted the man. I met him when I was like
That is the most
5
random
years
thing
old.
Okay.
So I have 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger stories, to be real with you. I'll make it quick.
No.
Okay, so I was 5
Make it
years
long.
old, and I lived in California. Okay,
Yeah.
picture this. And so he was, the governor over there.
The governor.
The governator. So I'm 5, and he's talking on this podium. We're seeing him talk.
Yeah.
So he's on a podium. He's kind of tall in the podium. So I get to meet him at this 5 years old. I shake his hand, and I'm like, wow, you are really short. I was like, you're a lot
What did he
shorter
say?
than I thought
You were
you'd be.
5?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He just laughed. He just thought it was
Yeah,
funny because it was
yeah.
kind of. I've also insulted Wolfgang Puck on accident, but they all laugh and they think it's funny.
What'd you say to
I think-
Wolfgang Puck? He has my
I'm a
favorite
menace to
restaurant in the
celebrities.
airport.
I'm literally a menace to celebrities because I think I'm just too truthful, but they like it and we're friends. Not like on a talking basis here. I have gotten a letter from Arnold Schwarzenegger about ferrets. I wanted a ferret. It was illegal in California. I messaged him. I said, in the movies, you have a pet ferret. What gives? I want one.
Where'd you message him?
I wrote him a letter. I was 9. Listen, 5 to 9, I tormented that man. I wrote him a couple letters. I was like, I want a ferret. Why can't I have ferrets? You had ferrets. Hypocritical.
And you couldn't have one because you lived in California.
Yeah, and it's illegal, and there were no more licenses. You had to get a license. They're fresh out of licenses. And he wrote me a letter back and kindly explained why ferrets are different than cats and dogs and how he enjoyed his time with the ferrets in the movies, but simply not going to work for me. And so I got a cat. But I had it framed for the longest time. But so Wolfgang Puck, my mom and I, when I was like 15 or 16, we were in Hollywood and we went to one of his restaurants. I don't remember the name of it at the time.
Probably
but
Wolfgang Puck's. No,
to
I'm
be
kidding.
honest, it was no Spago. Spago. And we got sent a little dessert from the chef. I'm 15. I'm ignorant, okay? I don't know who the chef is. I'm just like, my mom took me out to a bougie place to eat.
Yeah.
And it was gross. I genuinely didn't like it. And so the waiter sees me not finish it, and he's like, oh, like, did you not like it?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, actually, like, I didn't. And he's like, okay. And so he comes back with another dessert. And he's like, the chef made this, and he's hoping that you like this.
Yeah.
It's like chocolate or whatever. And then while I'm eating it, Wolfgang Puck comes to my table because he wants to know why I didn't like the first dessert.
Yeah.
And he wants to know if I like this one.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know his face. I don't know him. I'm 15.
Sure.
I don't know
wouldn't
anything.
know his face if you showed it to me, yeah.
Exactly. And so I just told him how I felt, and he's laughing. And he was so nice. And he made me a dessert until I liked it. And I liked the third one.
I cook a lot, and you don't.
No.
I'm a big fan of the big chef. Wolfgang Puck, I don't know as much about. I know a lot about Marco
guy.
Pierre White,
Okay.
who is the chef who famously trained Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, okay.
But I watch a lot of Marco Pierre White, and one of the things he says is he's like, cook the food that you would want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that's a lot of the problem that restaurants run into is like they make this big fancy thing with all this, these weird spices
Aiolis and stuff.
weird stuff you've never heard of, right?
Yes.
Versus like, how'd you make this? It's like, yeah, I put butter in a pan. I cook the meat to a good temperature.
Yeah.
I put some herbs in there. I use salt and pepper. And when I cook for people, I cook all the time. And whenever I love like having people over,
Nice.
cooking, playing cards. And people
I
always
love that.
ask, and like, dude, I'm not a chef, but I did actually work in restaurants for a long time.
Okay.
But and I help run kitchens, but the point is when people go, oh man, this is amazing. Like I had one friend who him and his wife they didn't like salmon. So They
Okay.
came over for dinner one night. They were, what's for dinner? And I was like, oh, I'm doing salmon with spinach, whatever.
Okay.
They're like, oh, we don't really like salmon. I was like, well, why? And they were like, well, it always tastes fishy. I'm like, yeah, salmon should never taste fishy.
Yeah, salmon's so good.
Salmon's amazing.
Yeah.
I said, let me cook this for you.
Okay.
First, I got the salmon
It's a
from
big task.
I got the salmon from a good place, which at this time was Whole Foods.
Okay.
So I said, hey, this is salmon from the store. Smell the salmon.
Okay.
Do you smell any fishiness? And they're like, no. I'm like, first of all, it's good salmon.
Yeah.
So it's quality versus something that's been frozen or something that's, no offense, but farm raised. Anyway, so I cooked the salmon. It was olive oil, lemon, butter, salt, pepper.
Okay. Oh, sounds
That's all I
great.
did. Phenomenal. You don't overcook it.
Yeah.
But anyway, they liked the salmon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like mixing.
Interesting.
So like if you're mixing like a rock song typically has like kick drum that's in your face,
Right.
vocals that are really in your face, a lot of effects on things, big guitars like that. Or that's the salmon, right? But what if you're making a pop song? That's a burger. Like
Okay.
different
I
things.
see you, yeah.
And I think maybe an advice to people who want to get into songwriting, mixing, production is to realize that not one size fits all. We just compared it to cooking
I
incidentally.
love it, yeah.
But like sometimes, and that's what I think the best mixers and the people that I look up to are doing is like they're never using the same thing. It's like you said, you let the song speak, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, man, does this song need guitar or piano or no vocals?
Yeah.
Is it Royals by Lord?
Gotta taste it and try it.
Yeah, you got to try as you go.
Yes.
Try a different reverb.
And
try
you
a
want to
different
make
delay.
something you would eat. You want to make something you'd listen to.
There you go.
Full
Which is
circle.
why, man, full circle, even one more,
Crushing it.
is like why artists shouldn't. I don't like when they're going, hey, let me know what you guys think. Because it's not about what they think.
It's like, hey, I like this. Here you go.
I think it was, I can't remember. It was a big country artist. I want to say it was George Strait, but it might not have been. But it could have been Garth Brooks.
Get your record straight.
I know, get your record straight. That's funny.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's funny. And they said like, hey man, make the music that you like, that is you as an artist, because at the end of the day, you lay your head on the pillow. And if you spend a career making music for other people or that other people are going to like, you're not going to be happy at the end of the day.
Especially if you have to perform it every night for a year.
Dude, if you have a hit,
Yeah.
and that's
For
the
the
other
rest
thing
of your life.
that's something I wanted to add. We were talking about the TikTok thing, was that, you know, what if you write this chorus, right? And the chorus is just a banger, but there's no depth to it.
Right.
It just happens to be a banger. And then you write this, and it hits.
Yeah.
And now you have to write the full song. Well, what if the full song isn't there because the depth's not there in that chorus? So that's
Concept's not there, yeah.
The concept's not there. Or, I'm sure you've run into this. I've run into this as a songwriter. Like, you'll start a song, and you'll get down the road a little bit, and then you're like, oh, man, this doesn't work.
Yeah. I've definitely been there. I think actually when I brought you Still Tomorrow, I had made a demo with like a whole different chorus and everything, and I brought it to you, and I was like, something just like not working. It's not making sense. And we kind of reworked like the whole song.
I don't remember the
You don't
process.
remember it? Well, that's what happened.
But I maybe if you had, I'd love to hear that demo.
Yeah, I'll play it for you. It was like, it was much different. It was something like proud. It was like because it was like, oh, if the world's ending, like maybe we'll look back though and be like, oh, I'm so proud of like what we accomplished, I guess, with it. And that was kind of where we went. And then it wasn't hitting.
Right, because we
so-
got down and we were like, well, hang on, like, how's it a happy song, but the world's ending and it just wasn't working. So we were like, well, man, let's make it
Still Tomorrow.
Still Tomorrow. Got it.
Because like the story wasn't working. Like we're getting to the second verse, we're trying to write that, and it was like, oh, like that's contradicting. Like it just wasn't.
Right. So if you
meshing.
had your demo and you launched it and it went on TikTok and it
Yeah.
went viral, and you're like, well, Leland, we got to finish the song now. It's like, well, crap, dude. I don't know how to make this work. So that would be my
Oohs and
advice too: is
ahs.
write the whole song.
Yeah.
Also, for new writers, my advice is start writing and write songs, and then put them in your phone as a work tape. Work tape means you just sit here and you play, or just sing a cappella. It's lyric and melody. You don't need. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You know, I mean, they do it in the bang on a table.
Yeah.
And snap, and that's the song. So it doesn't matter if it's piano or guitar or whatever. And a lot of times it's better to have just the a cappella.
Sure.
Because you're not. Then really, when you go in to cut it, you have a blank slate.
Yeah, you're not that demo ear.
You don't
I get demo ears so bad.
Well, everybody
or
does.
demoitis, yeah.
Everybody does, depending on how the length of time and how long
yeah.
you listen to it. And but my advice is just write the songs, because again, when we were talking earlier about like how you might hear it in your head, and then when you do the recording, it's first of all, it's never going to be exactly what you hear in your head.
Yeah.
It's impossible, I think. But then
Unless AI get some wires up there one day and just
one day,
wouldn't that be crazy?
Shit.
Like, tomorrow.
Soon. and then but then write the songs, because we treat the songs, I believe, newer writers a lot of times. There are some that don't, but newer writers treat songs too preciously.
Yeah.
Just let it be what it is. Because especially if you're a new writer, the odds of like your first song, it's got to be this perfect thing. First of all, it's probably not going to be because it's your first song.
Yeah.
Second of all, the odds of that thing seeing the light of day commercially are low.
True.
So just write it, get it done, put it in your phone, and stay organized.
Oh.
Because
that's huge. It's very hard. I use a master writer, and so I write everything in there, and then I can sort it by date, by title, look by lyrics and stuff. My voice memos, I hate. I get so mad at myself if I make a bunch of them and I don't name any of them. I have to name it in the moment, because otherwise
yeah, actually, I'm going through now every single voice memo on my phone.
I've done that.
And if it says new recording,
yep.
I skip it. And I'm going through anything with a title.
Okay, that's
I'm airdropping to myself, getting the lyric, and airdrop, and then the folder.
Nice.
And those will all be cataloged. And then anything that's been released does that. Because you said like 50 songs released. It's probably
more,
I would say.
Yeah.
But I just don't. It's very hard to keep track of it because you're creating, and a lot of times, another thing. We could do a whole course on staying organized.
Yeah.
But it's so important because what happens to writers once they have a song that hits, and I don't have a number one, but my friends who do say, once you have it hit, everybody else goes, cool, what else you got?
Yeah.
And if you can't very expeditiously turn around and say, hey, here's my top 10, like, man, 6 months goes by and good luck. So staying organized is super important. And I think also, once you go through and you've written 100 songs, whatever, once you scroll through your voice notes and then your notes with the lyrics that you've written down that you can read like a book, that makes sense. Once you start scrolling, I think you realize like, oh man, it's just a song. It's just a song. And like sometimes it's not the thing of grandeur you wanted, but the next one might be.
Exactly.
So keep writing.
Yeah, and definitely being prepared with that organization. I was conversing with a major label A&R the other day, and he was like, send me 3 songs you wish were yours, and then send me your favorite top 3 songs that you've done, like, in the last year. And so then, like, I was at work, and he texted me back, like, 30 minutes or an hour later, and was like, oh, like, don't forget, send me that. And so it was like, you gotta have that ready. I just, like, went in my little folder, and I pulled my little top 3, and then the hardest question, though, was the one about the 3 songs that I wish were mine. That's the hardest question I think I've ever been asked. My brain was hurting.
What'd you send?
I sent a Halsey song.
Which one?
Walls Could Talk.
Okay.
I think it's a banger. I sent Dua Lipa song. I believe it was Levitating, because I always cover it. And it's a bop. And I actually ended up sending 4 songs, because I was like, I can't do this. I sent an Amy Winehouse song. And, dang, I don't remember. I think it might have been a host. No, it was Taylor Swift, All Too Well. Because I think that's one of the best written songs.
The long version?
I didn't send the long version, but I think the fact that there is a long version just shows like how good of a song that it is. The fact that people even wanted to listen to a 10-minute version. Just like the way she tells the story. I think there's some lines in there that are like just perfect.
You know what? One more piece of advice. I mean, I could give advice for a long time. I could take advice for a long time. Is invest in your career and invest in yourself. And I'm not saying this is everybody, but I see a lot of people who say, oh man, I want to do music or I want to do a record.
I hate when people say that because I'm like, do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
And it doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars, but it does cost thousands of dollars.
It does.
And you get what you pay for.
Yes.
But be aware of your situation when you say things to yourself like, oh, I don't have the money right now. I'm not saying everybody does, but I am saying if you're working a job, put aside $100 a month.
Yeah.
And then in less than a year, you got $1,000 that you can put in and you can make a track for $1,000 bucks. There are people out there who make those records.
Or you can buy what you need.
You can buy what you need.
Yeah.
And you can do it on your own. You can, because what hurts me sometimes is when I see artists and they're wearing, I know their shoes cost $3,000. I know their Yeezys. Yeah. And, but they say, oh, well, I only have $100 budget for this. And I go, man, Yeah, and I've actually said it to people before.
Yeah.
I've said, man, can I be really honest with you? Like, I know I don't know you that well, but
Yeah.
like, bro, what's on your feet, man?
Yeah.
Oh, well, these are the new Yeezys.
Yeah.
And I go, dude, what if you were just wearing like Skechers
Yeah. But
and
you
like,
had
but
music.
you took that Yeezy money
Yeah.
and you made music with it.
And then you could buy more Yeezys eventually.
Yeah, don't put the cart
Not very
before the horse.
soon,
The
but
money
yeah.
will come. You'll be able to buy Yeezys,
Yeah.
but like, get your songs out first.
I feel like that's kind of like when people make a lot of excuses, like, oh, I don't have time to work out or anything. And I'm like, do you think everyone who works out is just like flush with free time?
Right.
Like, you have to, like, you have time because you'll see those same people like kicking it on the couch for like a whole season or whatever. And it's like, no, you're just not prioritizing it. You're not making the time.
Because it's the hard work.
It is, yeah.
It's the hard work. The stuff that, find your passion. Let your passion lead.
But eventually passion dies out and it has to be replaced with, not dies out, but dwindles, and it has to be replaced with like discipline and just showing up. And like, I think some people, like I know,
Facts.
like, will only write if the inspiration comes. And I'm like,
Doesn't work that
inspiration
way.
only shows up if you show up. You have to show up
Facts.
today and it'll come in the room with you. But it's not going to pull you out of bed and take you to the studio. Like, maybe the first few times you wrote a song because it came to you, you were in the moment, and that's what got you into it. But that's not what's going to keep you into it. You have to show up.
And that is true in any field.
Very true.
You want to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
You want to be a professional soccer player. You want to be a accountant.
Yeah.
There's days you're going to not want to be there.
Even if you love it and you're passionate about it, you just have to show up. It's still work. It's just work that you enjoy more than other work.
Yes. And I would say get yourself, if you are having trouble with that, get around people and look at your friend group.
Yeah.
And if you're around people that are like, dude, I want to be around people that are smarter than me, better than me, more talented than me, because I'm never going to be as good as those other people,
Right.
but I will outwork them.
Absolutely.
That's what I'll do.
And-
I will grind more.
And you're definitely the sum of like your friends. And if you're around people who aren't dedicating their time like that, it's just like you're not going to see that. You know, monkey.
And they're
does
not
as
going to be
monkey
they're not
sees.
going to be supportive of you either, because they might see you
That's kind of a
taking
threat.
the threat.
to
They might
their
see you taking flight to
comfort.
their comfort.
Yeah.
And they see you going. It's like when you leave your hometown
Oh.
and you go back and people are like, oh yeah, yeah, you moved to big California girl,
Oh.
and it's like, no man, I'm the same person.
Just doing life.
Just trying to not
Doing
stay
me.
in this place forever.
I'm from California, but my hometown is basically
know.
Hendersonville.
When I
and
said it, I
well,
knew
no,
it.
yeah, no, but Hendersonville, and that's where Taylor Swift went to. People are brutal to her, and they're brutal to me too. And I'm like, you guys are kind of miserable. Like, just because people wanted to do something more than like Hendersonville, you're kind of. I don't like being back here. I like Nashville, but Hendersonville, I like go to the store and I see someone I know, and I'm like, oh no, because they bullied me so bad in high school for wanting to do music and everything. Like rip up my posters, like trash albums in front of me. They wrote iTunes reviews and stuff. It was pretty bad. It was pretty gruesome. And then they'd be like, oh, Hollywood, like, because I didn't go to graduation. Because I did a showcase that day, and then I went on tour right out of graduation. So I missed graduation. And at, like, the senior party, everyone was like, oh, Hollywood, like, too big for us or whatever. I'm like, no, my life is more than high school. I graduated. I have $600,000 of full ride scholarships. So I think I did what I was supposed to do here.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to watch you guys walk across the stage.
Oh, you must have been like a AP student then.
I was an AP student. Yeah, I was pretty crazy with it.
Did you go to college?
No. I was gonna do pre-med. I was enrolled at Belmont. I even had a Pepperdine. Had scholarships there.
Oh, I love that campus.
Ugh. The campus
Holy
alone
crap.
would have made me go to
Yeah.
college, but they gave me a really good scholarship.
Okay.
My sister was in pharmacy school at the time, and I wasn't going for music. I was really focused on pre-med, and I just saw like how much she had to give of herself to that. And I decided that music is what I wanted to go after full time. And I felt like either way, one of them would suffer. And I can always go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was a dumb financial choice. I don't know. But I did it. Can't look back. I don't regret it.